Welcome back, everybody, to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We just got done talking about the KPMG Women's PGA Championships, and now we're going to talk about the U.S. Diving Olympic Trials. Okay, so the trials are taking place from the 17th to the 23rd, so we're going to recap the first 2 days. The meet took place at the University of Tennessee's Allan Aquatic Center. There were no events that took place on the 19th, which was yesterday, so that is why we are only going over the last 2 days. And we're not going to recap today, unfortunately, although everything has pretty much finished as of now. But I could not get time to gather my thoughts before the live stream, and because it has literally ended very, very recently. So anyway, so let's obviously start with the first day. I think that would make the most sense. Okay, so the first event on day one was the women's synchronized 3-meter preliminary. Okay, so in first was Kassidy, Cook, and Sarah Bacon, and second was Allison Gibson with Krista Palmer, and third was Kendall Knight with Samantha Pickens, and fourth was Lily White with Bailey Sturgill, and fifth was Ann Fowler with Carolina Schulte, and last in sixth was Ella Rowley, with Avery Gais. I'm so sorry, guys. You know I'm so bad at pronouncing names, especially last names, so I sincerely apologize. So the finals took place that night, and Kassidy Cook at 29 years old and Sarah Bacon at 25 years old secured their spot in the Olympics through the finals. So Kassidy Cook is going back to the Olympics for the first time in 8 years. Sarah Bacon is going to her first games. Cook and Bacon became the first U.S. divers to qualify for the Paris Games, winning the women's 3-meter synchronized springboard event to open the Olympic trials. It's a U.S. diving tradition for a past Olympian to present a new Olympian with an Olympic ring once they make the team at trials. The 2016 Olympian Cook gave a ring to her partner and best friend Bacon. So the duo totaled 629.82 points over 5 preliminary dives and 5 final dives. The duo closed out the finals with 7.20 points on their last dive, a front 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist. When they hit the water, they knew they had clinched a spot on the team. They prevailed by 30.33 points over Allison Gibson and Krista Palmer. 3 years ago, Gibson and Palmer won the trials over Cook and Bacon, then placed 8th together at the Tokyo Olympics. Cook stepped away from competition after the Tokyo Olympic trials following shoulder injuries. Bacon encouraged her to return and reform their synchro team. Cook took her up on it and quit her job as a healthcare recruiter to come back to full-time diving in 2023, and thank goodness she did. Cook and Bacon looked like they were in driver's seat for the Olympic spot when they placed 4th at the 2023 World Championships. Then Gibson, unretired, repartnered with Palmer, and together they beat Cook and Bacon at last year's Winter Nationals. Then this past February, Gibson and Palmer took 4th at Worlds. This time around, Cook and Bacon led after all 10 dives. Cook will make her second Olympic appearance after placing 13th in the individual springboard in Rio 2016. Bacon, who has dealt with back fractures, concussions, and shoulder injuries in her diving career, made her first Olympic team in her 4th trials. She missed the Tokyo Olympic team by 1 spot in both the individual and synchronized springboard. She's a 2-time World Championship silver medalist in the individual 1-meter springboard, which is not an Olympic event anymore, I believe. I believe it used to be, but it isn't this year. Bacon said, "We faced a lot of obstacles over the last couple of months together, years, honestly, injuries and all that kind of stuff. So just coming through all of that and making my first Olympic team and her second Olympic team, I don't have any words right now for it. The last Olympics were bittersweet. It was over COVID, and I was one of the favorites to make that team, I would say in both synchro and individual. It just lit a fire underneath me. Honestly, I was planning on retiring after that Olympics, so it kept me diving. I wanted to make an Olympic team." And then Cook said, "It was that moment when all your hard work comes to fruition. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. You don't always get the results you want, and that's happened to us before. Once we landed in the water, we knew we landed in the water as Olympians and that we were going to Paris. We were just overwhelmed with emotion. It feels amazing. We have been working so hard for so long and given a lot of sacrifices and gone through so much as a team. To finally say that we made the Olympics together, that we're going to Paris, honestly doesn't feel real yet, but I'm over the moon." Allison Gibson and Krista Palmer's, with their second place finish, had a total score of 599.49 points. Kendall Knight and Samantha Pickens were third with a score of 532.20 points. Lily White and Bailey Sturgill placed 4th at 504.84 points. Ann Fowler and Carolina Schulte finished with 498.63 points in 5th place. And lastly, Ellie Rosalie and Avery Gizzi placed 6th with 462 points. On the second day, we had the women's synchronized 10-meter preliminary, and later that night was the finals. In the preliminaries, Delaney, Schnell, and Jessica Parratto started out strong, getting the first place spot. And second was Gabriella Filson and Bailey Sturgill. Third was Emily Moore and Kaylee Bishop. Last and fourth was Katarina Hoffman and Abigail Napton. That night was the finals, and there, Delaney, Schnell, and Jessica Parratto secured their spot in the Olympic Games. The pair won the trials by more than 100 points, which is so insane. They were the silver medalists at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and it will be Parratto's third Olympic Games and Schnell's second. They finished with a total score of 607.14 points. This really isn't a surprise that they came out in first. They were the favorites coming in, and I guess we all just kind of expected them to come out in first again and make it to the Olympics. Parratto said after the trials, "I try not to look at the scoreboard, but I think we knew we had a chance. We just wanted to do 5 good dives. There were even some dives I wanted to improve upon and get a little bit better. Obviously, it was good enough and a really good and solid last dive for us. It was just all of the emotions coming together of the past 3 years and just not expecting, honestly, to be where I am right now. Going to a third Games is just crazy." Parratto had actually planned to retire to Tokyo, but Schnell encouraged her not to give it one more go. And the duo got back together in 2023, thank goodness. Parratto said, "Delaney got me out of retirement, a couple months of crying. Obviously, it was my decision, and I was happy to come out of retirement just for synchro because it's such a fun event. I wanted to give it one more shot with the Delaney next to me. It was also perfect. It was just as surprising me, too. I surprised myself." Schnell will also look to qualify individually starting on Friday, and she said, "Sports are just where you just have to expect the unexpected. For me, it was just a sigh of relief, and now I can go into individual and have a breath of fresh air and stay calm. We already made one event, and I get to relax and breathe." Okay, and then second place was Gabrielle Filson and Bailey Sturgill with 494.13 points. Third was Emily Moore and Kaylee Bishop with 477.39 points. And lastly, fourth was Katarina Hoffman and Abigail Napton with 458.48 points. Based on the total scores, Schnell and Parratto were clear winners. So this morning was the women's 3-meter preliminary, and then later was the women's 3-meter semifinals. Because the results have not come in yet before I started the live stream, I can't really recap everything about how it went. And I sort of wanted to say recap about day 3s for another episode. Instead of recapping, I wanted to talk about the people that are competing in this event. The top 2 divers will make it to the Olympics in this event. So unlike a lot of the diving events, this one has the top 2 divers, which is really nice because sometimes it's more fun and interesting to see more than one person qualify from a diving event. Okay, so Sarah Bacon, who finished 5th at the 2024 World Championships, and Hailey Hernandez, who finished 9th in Tokyo, were among the favorites to qualify in the women's 3-meter springboard. Bacon finished 3rd at the Tokyo Olympic trials, but she will have a strong chance to make the team for Paris after earning 2 World Cup medals in the 3-meter springboard this year. Bacon, like I said earlier, has dealt with several injuries in her career, including shoulder injuries, stress fractures in her back, and concussions. However, she said her body has been in good shape this Olympic cycle, and clearly she's been doing great considering her first place finish in synchronized diving. A 2020 Tokyo Olympian Hernandez will also have a strong chance to make her second straight Olympic team. Hernandez is a 2-time World Junior silver medalist and finished 6th in the 3-meter springboard at last year's Senior World Championships. While Purdue and Indiana have become powerhouses in collegiate diving, the South Lake native chose to stay close to home and attend the University of Texas. So we're now going to move on to our next segment where we talk about the student athletes and the U.S. track and field Olympic trials. Before we get into that, we're going to be taking a very short break, so I will see you guys very soon.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.